I've been thinking about integrity quite a bit lately. I've been thinking about the integrity of the people that I interact with. I've been thinking about the integrity of our leaders, our political leaders, but also our kind of social leaders, the people who lead our kind of social lives. And I think for integrity, it's just a tricky way of approaching our perspective of other people. Often we think about integrity and we think of authority in the same way because we're often assessing the integrity of any figure of authority. So when we think about our political leaders, we're looking at them through that lens of kind of what is their sense of integrity. And it can kind of go down to a very basic level of honesty. So do we view this person as being honest? Are they telling us the truth? And this is part of it. This is the baseline of integrity. Are we viewing someone as being honest? But beyond that, it comes down to someone's moral compass. So in their minds, they have kind of a separation of right and wrong, good and bad. And whether that's a dichotomy or some big spectrum of rightness and wrongness, what it comes down to is that all the decisions that individual makes, whether we can consider them being honest or not, the decisions they make are embedded with that moral fiber, that moral fabric, the moral compass that helps guide them in the decision making, in their decision making. So when we look to others and we see these authority figures, we see others in our lives, we're trying to understand how honest they're being. We try to understand their level of integrity as a person. It's important for us to also look a little bit deeper and kind of identify what are their value systems that are guiding their decision making. Now, these are not explicit value systems. Nobody sits down and makes a decision and says, oh, all of these things in my life I think are right or wrong, and therefore I will make this decision. No, those value systems are kind of subconscious. They lie at kind of a very subterranean level of our psyche. And so when we're making those decisions, those value systems, what we think is right or wrong, that moral compass that's guiding us through that decision making, affects the outcome of that decision making. And so when we start talking about things like ethics and ethical decision making, what that really means is what is the morality behind that decision making? What is our value system behind that decision making? And do we see that value system as lending someone integrity or kind of disingenuousness, dishonesty? Now, Voltaire has this famous saying about morality. He says, I have no morals, but yet I am a very moral person. And what that comes down to is that morality isn't a specific kind of set of criteria. This is my interpretation. It was a very vague and ambiguous statement. So my interpretation is that value systems are not something we set out to as criteria for decision making. What they are is something that lies beneath our decision making and influences our decision making. And so if you need no morals, it's because your character, your integrity is such that you will make the decision that is best for others in your life. And I want to leave this all off with one aspect of integrity that I think is most important. You can judge, or I judge, a person's integrity by the decisions they make that affect other people. So people in positions of authority are often asked to make decisions that affect others but don't affect them. So when we look at the integrity of someone, when I look at the integrity of a leader, I'm often trying to assess in what ways would they make decisions that affect others? What is the moral compass guiding those decisions? Is it one of compassion or is it one of selfishness? So I think integrity is something we're really not paying close enough attention to, and something that we can really pick apart in much more detail when we start looking at the motivations behind everyone's decision making.